I drove a freight route between Indianapolis and Nashville for 9 years. I quit on March 8th, 2024, after what happened at the Cracker Barrel off exit 76 in southern Indiana, and I have not driven I-65 south of Indianapolis since. The parking lot was always full. That's the part nobody believes when I tell them. So I want to start there. Every single time I drove that stretch, no matter the hour, the Cracker Barrel parking lot at exit 76 was full. Sedans, pickup trucks, the occasional minivan, license plates from Indiana, Kentucky, Tennessee, Ohio, sometimes farther. I noticed it the way you notice a billboard you've passed 100 times, background, furniture, the kind of thing your brain stops registering after the third or fourth pass. The dining room had been condemned since 2019. I want you to hold on to that, because it's the thing I keep coming back to. The building was condemned. There were notices on the front doors, yellow tape across the porch where the rocking chairs used to be. The gift shop windows were papered over from the inside. I had stopped at that exit for diesel maybe 200 times since the closure, and the restaurant had not been open. Not once, but the parking lot was full. Cars I would see one week and recognize the next. The same red F-150 with a dent in the rear quarter panel. The same silver Camry with a Marshall University decal. The same beige minivan with a bumper sticker that said, "My other car is a casserole." I never thought about it. That's what scares me most. I drove past that lot for 5 years and never once asked myself why. The first time I really looked was on the night of February 27th, 2024. I was running late, a load of auto parts going to a plant outside Bowling Green. I pulled into the Pilot across the highway around 2:15 in the morning to top off and grab coffee. The Pilot sits up on a small rise, and from the fuel island you can see straight across I-65 to the Cracker Barrel lot. It was full. I remember standing there with the nozzle in my hand, and for some reason that night, my brain finally caught it. The lot was full at 2:15 on a Tuesday. At a restaurant that had been closed for almost 5 years, I counted the cars. I made myself do it, 43 vehicles. I counted twice. The building was dark, no interior lights. No exterior lights, except the parking lot's sodium lamps, which were running on what must have been a maintenance circuit, because everything else about the property looked dead. The rocking chairs were gone. The porch was boarded. The big wooden sign by the road said Cracker Barrel Old Country Store in faded gold letters, but underneath on the marquee where they used to advertise the breakfast special, someone had put up plastic letters that just said thank you, 43 cars, nobody inside any of them, nobody walking, no movement. I told myself it was a tow lot. That was the explanation I landed on while I finished pumping. The franchise must have leased the parking lot to a towing company or to a dealership for overflow or to a long-haul outfit for trailer staging. That made sense. I felt better. I got back in the cab and I pulled out and I drove south, and I did not look at the lot again as I passed it, but I noticed something on my way back through 3 days later on the run back north. It was around 4 in the morning, lighter traffic, and as I crested the hill before exit 76, I looked over because I wanted to confirm my tow lot theory. The lot was still full, but the red F-15 with the dent was now parked in a different spot. 3 rows over, same truck. I knew that truck. Same dent, same Base Pro decal in the back window. Same Indiana plate. It had moved. A tow lot doesn't move cars around. A tow lot just stores them. I started watching after that. I'm not proud of how quickly it became a routine. Every northbound run, every southbound run, I would slow down on the approach and look. The lot was always full, and the cars rotated. Not every time, but often enough that across 2 weeks I logged it. The silver Camry with the Marshall decal moved from row 2 to row 5. The beige minivan moved from the front to the back. A black Jeep Wrangler I had never seen before appeared one Tuesday and was gone by Friday. I started taking pictures with my phone from the cab. I have them still. I do not look at them. The second thing I noticed was the smell. This is the part I have trouble describing because it wasn't the kind of smell you get from a closed restaurant. It wasn't grease, it wasn't decay, it was something sweeter than that, like maple syrup left on a counter for a week, like cornbread that had gone slightly wrong. You could smell it from the shoulder if you had your window down, even doing 70. It was strongest right at the exit ramp, and it carried about a quarter mile in either direction. I asked a guy at the pilot about it. Older driver, ran the same route. Name was Don. I bought him a coffee one night and I said, "Hey, do you ever notice the smell off exit 76?" He looked at me for a long time. Then he said, "You've been driving this route? How long?" 9 years, I said. He said, "You should have stopped noticing it by now." I asked him what he meant. He didn't answer. He just paid for his diesel and walked out. I want to tell you what happened on the night of March 7th, 2024. But first I need to tell you about the door. A few weeks before, I had pulled into the Cracker Barrel lot. I shouldn't have. I knew I shouldn't have. But the curiosity had been building, and that night I was running early, and I told myself I was just going to drive through the lot once and look at the building. The lot was huge, bigger than I remembered. I drove down the rows slowly, my headlights sweeping across the parked cars, and every car I passed was empty. Not just empty, clean, like a dealership had detailed them that afternoon. No coffee cups, no fast food bags, no phone chargers tangled in the center console, no car seats. No stuffed animals on the rear deck. The Marshall Camry that I had seen a dozen times had nothing inside it. Not a receipt, not a hair tie, nothing. I parked at the far end of the lot, facing the building. The Cracker Barrel was a silhouette in front of me. The porch where the rocking chairs used to be was just a long, flat shape now. The boards nailed across the railings. The big stone chimney rose up against the sky. The windows were papered, but I could see a faint, warm glow at the edges of the paper. Not bright, the way a nightlight bleeds out from under a closed door. The front door was open. I want to be clear about this. The double front doors of the restaurant, the ones that used to have the bell above them that jingled when you walked in, were standing open. Both of them. The yellow condemned tape was still strung across the porch posts, but somebody had walked through it or under it, and the doors were open behind it, and I could see from where I was parked that there was warm yellow light coming from inside, the kind of light a 100-watt bulb makes, soft, domestic. I sat in the cab for a long time. I want to say I sat there for 10 minutes. It might have been longer. I did not get out of the truck. I want you to know that I did not get out, but I watched, and after a while I saw a woman walk out onto the porch. She was older, maybe 60. She was wearing a Cracker Barrel apron, the brown one with the gold logo over a white blouse and dark slacks. She had a coffee pot in her hand. She walked to the edge of the porch and she looked out at the parking lot. She did not look at me specifically. She looked at all of it, like she was checking on a full dining room. Then she nodded to herself and she turned and she walked back inside, and the doors closed behind her. The yellow tape was undisturbed. I drove out of the lot and I didn't stop driving until I was 60 miles south. I pulled into a rest area outside Louisville and I sat in the cab and I shook for an hour. I did not tell anyone. Who would I tell? My dispatcher, my wife, who was already worried about my hours, the Indiana State Police, who would ask me what laws I thought had been broken at a closed restaurant. I kept driving the route. I didn't have a choice. The contract was the contract. On the night of March 7th, 2024, I was southbound around 1:40 in the morning. I had not planned to stop. I was making good time. But as I came over the rise before exit 76, I saw the lot, and I saw something different. There was an empty spot. I had never seen an empty spot in that lot. In 5 years of driving past it, the lot was always full, 43 cars, give or take. That was the count. That night, the count was 42. There was a single empty space, 3 rows back, between the silver Camry and the beige minivan. I want to tell you I kept driving. I want to tell you I made good choices, but I took the exit. I told myself I was going to drive through and confirm the count. I told myself I was a witness now. I had information. I drove down the row. The empty spot was waiting. It was a perfectly normal parking space, lined in faded yellow paint, slightly cracked asphalt, an old leaf in one corner. My truck was too big to fit. That's what saved me. I think about that a lot now. If I had been driving my pickup instead of my rig, I think I would have parked in that spot. I think I would have gotten out. I think I would have walked toward the porch. Instead, I stopped my rig in the row, and I sat there with my engine idling, and I looked at the building. The doors were open again. The warm light was inside, and the woman in the apron was on the porch, and this time she was looking at me, specifically at me. She raised one hand, not a wave, a gesture I have seen 100 times from a hostess at the door of a restaurant. The little tilt of the wrist, that means we have a table for you. I looked at the empty parking space. I looked at the cars on either side of it, the Camry, the minivan, and I realized something I should have realized months earlier. The cars in that lot were not abandoned. They were waiting. Each one was somebody's spot. The empty space was mine. I have driven that road since 2015. 200 passes, maybe more. Every time, the lot was full, and I never asked why, and I never stopped. And now I understood that the lot had been keeping a space open for me the entire time, and I had finally noticed because the night had finally come when I was supposed to take it. I don't know how I got the rig moving. I remember my hand on the gear shift and the trailer bucking as I pulled out of the row too fast. I clipped the curb on the way out of the lot. I heard the woman call something, but the windows were up and the engine was loud and I didn't catch the words. I told myself later that she had said, "Sir, you forgot something." I tell myself that because the alternative is worse. I drove, I didn't stop. I ran the load all the way to Bowling Green on fumes and adrenaline, and when I got there, I told my dispatcher I was done. I gave my notice that morning. I haven't driven I-65 south of Indianapolis since. Here's what I keep coming back to. The smell. The cars that moved, the hostess on the porch. None of those are the thing. The thing is the empty spot. The thing is that the lot had been waiting for me. The thing is that I had been driving past it for 5 years, and it had been counting, and that night the count came up. I called Don a week after I quit. The other driver, I asked him what he meant when he said I should have stopped noticing it by now. He said, "The ones who notice it are the ones who are getting close." He said, "Most drivers go their whole career without seeing the lot at all. They drive past and their eyes slide right off it." He said, "When you start counting cars, that's the warning. When you smell the cornbread, that's the warning. When you see the door open, you've got 1 or 2 more passes," he said. "I saw the door open in 1998. I haven't taken I-65 south of Indianapolis in 26 years. I asked him how many drivers he knew who had seen the door open and kept driving the route. He didn't answer for a long time. Then he said, "None. I drove past my old route in a rental car last month. I had to. My daughter goes to school in Nashville, and I was helping her move into an apartment. And there was no other way down except I-65. I had my wife with me. I had my daughter and her boyfriend. We were going to drive straight through, no stops, and we were going to do it during the day. We hit exit 76 at 2:14 in the afternoon. Bright sun, clear sky, normal traffic. The parking lot was empty. I want you to understand what I mean. The Cracker Barrel building was still there, still condemned, still papered up. The sign still said thank you. The porch was still boarded. But the parking lot was completely empty. Not a single car. The faded yellow lines stretched across acres of cracked asphalt, and there was nothing in any of them. My wife asked me why I had pulled over onto the shoulder. I told her I needed a minute. My daughter asked if I was okay. I said yes. I drove the rest of the way to Nashville, and I helped my daughter unpack. And I had dinner with her and her boyfriend at a place on Broadway, and I laughed at his jokes, and I hugged my daughter goodbye. On the drive back north, my wife fell asleep around midnight. We crested the rise before exit 76 at 1:57 in the morning. The lot was full. 43 cars. I didn't have to count. I knew the number there. Was an empty space 3 rows back. between a silver Camry and a beige minivan. The woman was on the porch with a coffee pot. She waved. My wife is still asleep beside me as I write this. We are at a rest area outside Lafayette. I'm writing this on my phone in the cab of the rental car because I don't know what else to do. I am not going to drive past that exit again. I'm going to wake my wife up, and I'm going to ask her to drive. And I'm going to tell her I am too tired, and I'm going to keep my eyes closed when we go past exit 76. And I am going to hope that's enough. I keep thinking about what Dawn said. None of the drivers who saw the door open and kept driving the route. I quit the route. I stopped driving I-65. I thought that was enough. I thought the lot couldn't count me if I wasn't passing it. But the lot was empty in the daylight, empty, waiting. I think I understand now what the cars are. I think the cars are the people who took the spot. I think the spot stays in the lot after them, and the car stays in the lot after them. And at night, the woman on the porch counts them all, and the count has to stay at 43. And when one of them finishes, when one of them is done being whatever they are now, the count drops to 42 and a new spot opens and the lot waits for the next driver who has been counting. The red F-150 with a dent in the rear quarter panel was not in the lot tonight. The Camry and the minivan had a space between them. That space is the same space it was a month ago. It has been the same space for a month. It has been waiting. I'm going to wake my wife up now. If you drive I-65 south of Indianapolis, do not stop at exit 76 between 2 and 3 in the morning. Do not look at the parking lot. Do not count the cars. Do not roll your window down. If you smell something sweet like cornbread that went slightly wrong, drive faster. Do not take the exit. Do not pull into the lot. Do not park in the empty space. The empty space is not for you. Not yet, but the lot is counting, and the woman on the porch is patient. And one night, if you keep driving past, the count will come up to your number and the door will be open, and she will raise her hand in that small hostess gesture, and you will understand the way I understood, that the spot has been yours the entire time. I am pulling into our driveway now. It is just after dawn. My wife drove the last 3 hours. She does not know why I asked. I'm going to delete this when I post it. I just looked at my rear view mirror. There is a red F-150 parked across the street. It has a dent in the rear quarter panel. I do not know whose truck it is. I have never seen it on this street before. It wasn't there when we pulled in.